So let's get started. Hello and welcome to a very special edition of our webinar series. So today we have the privilege of being in Dubai at Gitex, and we are running a show with a live audience for the first time, and also streaming for our global community. Super cool stuff. We're here, of course, to talk about our favorite product, being Nintex Automation K2. Before we get into what we've got lined up for you today, let me introduce our lovely speakers, starting with the legendary Ashley. Look at that, has got, no secrets for him. Thanks for joining us. And of course, we have Queen Amanda as well. Everyone knows Amanda from the community. Thanks for joining us today. So we'll briefly talk about AMO, who we are and why we're here presenting today. And then Ashley will tell us more about, the latest release of Nintex Automation K2. And then we'll get into, the real things. What can we actually do? What can we deliver with this fantastic piece of technology? And then towards the end of our emission, we're going to talk about the future. What do we have in store? That's coming in the next few months, and then we'll have the long lens as to what's coming, for the future. So let's get started. AMO Consultancy, what do? We build custom business applications to do exactly what you want, exactly how you imagined it. And actually, we take a real stand saying we do this with no surprise costs, vague timelines, or compromises, meaning that when we decide together that we are going to deliver something for you, this is what we deliver in the time we agreed to be delivered into and in the price that we said we would deliver it. Of course, in order for us to deliver this, we use Nintex Automation K2, right? This is obviously the heart of what we do from a technology perspective, and we come in as a consultancy to actually bridge the gap between the business requirements, the business challenges, transforming them into a digital solutions that fits the needs of the business. Of course, we have the privilege of being here with our Nintex friends, because we're one of the premier partners globally, and we have effectively two regions into which we operate from. The first one, UK and Ireland, and and Europe at large. And now our newest region, MENA, starting with Dubai from a commercial standpoint, and our delivery center from Morocco, Casablanca. So that was us really briefly about who we are and what we do. Now I'm going to gladly hand over to Ashley so that you can present us with the latest version.
Always a pleasure to work
with
you and present with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everyone. Hope we're doing well, and hi to everybody out in internet land on the webinar. So we're going to talk first about what we've done over 2024, most recently with the K2 5.8 release that came out in September. There were a few important highlights that we released there in 5.8. They cover the main areas of integration and modernization, translations and localization, as well as security management and a little bit of governance. Let's actually dive into specific features for the K2 experts in the room. So, big wall of text. Why a big wall of text? Because we've done so many things, right? That's how it is. We can't compress everything too much. So a couple of highlights that we've actually released here. I think if I really call out first, we've gone back to the multilingual support out of the box in the platform. So that's German, French, and Spanish. And of course, here at Gitex, we're all in Dubai. We're always happy to announce that we've added right to left Arabic supports. Now, when I'm talking about these language supports, I'm not just talking about the end user experience, the experience of the people that you build solutions for. This is also included into our designer workspace and management functionality. So that means even the administrators, the IT admins, the business administrators, the people who are building the solutions with K2, they're all getting that experience in their local languages as well. And that leads into the ability to do multilingual forms, which is something we've been able to do for quite some time. But What we've now done is make that out of the box and make it a lot more of a seamless experience. So a lot of the themes that we'll have when we're going through this presentation is how we've taken things that we were able to technically do, where we were maybe on parity with our competitors, and then leveling that up to be actually one better than the competitors as well. I think another key highlight here is workflow versioning. We've always had workflow versioning since maybe, I don't know, 2008 with the beginnings of Black Pearl. But what we've done now is give you the ability to add comments and see the version history within the K2 designer experience. And I know, Amanda, you've got a demo on a couple of these items, right? So really looking forward to that. A couple of areas we've also had to take care of things like our technical debts, our historic legacy. So we've added a migration from AngularJS to Angular 16. That's given us a lot more performance in the design experience, helping support the ability to do very large, very complex workflows that K2 is well known for, as well as the basic use cases. And then we've also been working closely with Microsoft, bringing in the SharePoint framework support. So that's the ability to move away from the old app model over to the new SPFX support. And I think at that point, it's probably a good time to jump into the demos. Amanda?
Thank you, Ashley. Now let's leap into a demo. So just a little reminder for whoever is not familiar with Nintex K2. So with K2, we have what we call the K2 Designer, which is our unique platform for the developers to build an application from end-to-end application. With a data layer, interact with your system, your existing system, to build a UI that is completely custom to your organization, and building processes, workflows. Then we have the K2 management, which is the website for the IT administrator, the support team, the maintenance, which will have full access on the K2 configuration of the platform, and also access to instances of the workflows that have been started, where they are, what's happening with your old platform, K2 platform. And to finish, we have the K2 workspace, which is the portal for the end users. It's mainly used for developers, I would say, more than the end users actually, because it's so easy to build your own UI. So it's better to have your branded portal to manage any application. So for whoever has K2, how do I know which version I have? So there are several ways. One is to access to the help documentation that is redirecting you directly to your own version of K2. Or the other way is on K2 Designer, you have a Nintex label on the bottom left. It opens a pop-up where you can see what version do you have, history of what has been installed. And if you're contacting Nintex support, they will probably ask you first, can you get me the content of K2 update history table, which you can download straight away from K2 Design. So since the K2 5 version, a lot have changed in K2. The whole system has been rebuilt to be more modern, to be faster, to be more to perform more. But every minor version of K2 has brought new functionalities. So depending on your version, you might have, or you might missing out some of the features that I'm going through. The 5.5 version introduced a design layer. So with your existing application or a new application, you can just build a nice design layer that you can apply to all your applications. And once your branding change, you change that into the style profile, and all your applications are rebranded correctly. You have a better way to handle exceptions in workflows. So I built a workflow. I didn't think of few elements. If my third-party tool is not available, what should I do, etc. Now there's actions that can be done automatically straight away. And if you want to go even faster, you can automate on top of automation. And with PowerShell script, you can go further and you can package and deploy your solution straight away. So the idea here is to build something in 2 weeks, have it ready for your end users, And then every 2 weeks' time, you can bring more functionalities into your applications. No, this is PowerShell. Step 6, we introduce even more features when it comes to the design. So now you can give the design to a design team. They don't have to know K2 anymore. They can build their own design layer, and then you can apply it to your application. So that's to push it even further with JavaScript, CSS files. You have a better security management also when it comes to development. So you can restrict a developer to only have access to one connector, because you can connect to so many systems out of the box. Now you can restrict even on the development side how they can access your platform. And last but not least, you have the authentication methods that are updated globally by Microsoft, by all the big majors, and all the new best practices when it comes to security authentication are embedded straight away on Nintex K2. That way you can connect to more and more existing systems with the more secure way to connect to them. The 5.7 version, which is the last version before the 5.8 that just went out, introduced even more layers when it comes to the style. So now you can even develop completely the style of your application without impacting the development of your own application. They can test it, they can apply it with the preview without having to disturb the development of your apps. So what's new in the 5.8 version of K2? The big major update was the translation of the tool itself. Not only, like Ashley said, for the end users, which we could do from the beginning, but now the engine itself. When I build an application, because it's low code, I can drag and drop easily. Now I can also have all of that in my native language. I'm French, so thank God. Now they included it as a first languages as well. So now if I'm in France and my browser settings is in French automatically, then the old tool, K2 Designer, K2 Management, and K2 Workspace will be now translated in French directly. And it's not just there, but it's also the way you implement applications. So the rule, the drag and drops, the properties, everything now is translated. We have Spanish, German, and Arabic as first languages, and I'm sure a lot more languages will come later. So that's a great opportunity to go globally and to not have restraints that we had before when English is not your first language. So as you can see here, it's in French, so it's just translated the properties. This is the all the controls that you can drag and drop to build your interface. And this is basically how we build rules, business rules. It's normal sentences. When a button is clicked, I want my form to check if those data are mandatory and then save into the third system. So that's how the logic works. So it's very easy to understand it and to start building very complex applications. The end-to-end from the first discussion to the project being live is usually in weeks. We don't talk about months, we don't talk about years. It's usually weeks. Within 6 weeks, you get an application. Within 8, 12 weeks, you get a massive complex application. So this is in Arabic, where everything is on the other side, obviously. Then it goes into rules as well, where everything is translated. So it makes it easier for developers as well and support team, etc., that they more familiar with their own language, English, to maintain and to perform into that Nintex K2 version. So what can you build with K2? Now that you have layer of the design and you have the translation. So this is the Gitex portal. imagine that based on the region, you don't want to rebuild an application for Gitex. So if you're in Morocco, you have the Gitex red that comes up straight away on the screen. If you're in Singapore, you get another color, and you can change the design to fit the culture, not only the color, but it's the full application can look like something different. Underneath, it's one application. It's not several applications. It's one application built, and then we just added a design layer and the language layer on top of that. And it can look like completely different. You have better handling of versioning. So because we want the go to market, go to production even faster and easier for everyone, whether it's the developer or whether it's the end user that is going to use the application, we want to be able to deploy application within a week or two. Okay, so every time you deploy something, like, okay, you get the feedback from the end users. Oh, we're missing a step here. We want an extra approval. Okay, let's do that. I can add easily an extra approval, deploy it. They want to go back, or here I have all the minor version and the major version. The minor version is what as a developer, I developed, and I can save my work. And the major version are the one that I have deployed as well for the end users. They want to roll back, and they want to, that extra step didn't bring us the value that we wanted from the business. We are just wasting time, and the workflow is getting longer to be approved. Let's remove it, okay? Let's go back to that previous version that didn't have that workflow, and let's redeploy it. So it's a matter of minutes, not even days. So that's the way we even force the continuous development. So that's what we are trying to push as much as possible. The world is changing, the requirements are changing. If you wait 2 months, 3 months for your requirements to be out, it's outdated already. You moved on from that requirement. So same for the forms applies, and we will have a better handling as well in the next future version with the smartphones. So here, add comments, of course, to make sure that your versions go on top and well documented. So if you want to reverse back, it's easy for you to reverse. You can have a look at all your versions with all the comments and go back to each one of the one that you prefer easily. So now, example kind of end-to-end solution. It's something simple that I wanted to show, not something you can push a lot further the tool. But for a simple example, you would have a portal for Gitex Global, and here we have built incident management. Incident management incidents needs to be handled quickly. Time is at the essence here, so we need to move fast. Someone, a visitor, an exhibitor, have found a leak or have found something that is supposed to show and raise it to the Gitex Global. They took a picture of it, they raised the incident and sent it to the control room. Control room gets the full details of that incident. They see the picture that the person had. They see everything that has been happened in that incident. So as soon as I raised that element, it started a workflow based on the elements that I have put in the system, whether it's water leak, whether it's safety or anything. It triggers the right task to the right person, so they can intervene quickly. And generated with DocGen, which is a tool as well of Nintex, the documents, the witness report of what has been reported, what time, etc., that is sent straight away to the user that has raised the incident as a proof that we took your request in consideration. So that's basically a simple form with a document generation, a preview of the files. You can adapt here. I've put it as a dark mode, light mode. You can adapt the colors. You go from a blank page and you build whatever you want. So you're talking about, I'll just repeat for the, so you're talking about traceability. exactly, traceability within the workflow. So that is already included. And in K2 management, and you can expose that to your end users, you have a full traceability of where it has been sent, who received the task, since when, did they do an action on it, does it, if you put an expire time, has it expired? Did we send reminders to them? Everything is tracked automatically. So you don't have to develop anything extra for that. It's already embedded. So one of the strengths of Nintex K2 is their connectors. You can connect to your existing system. The strength here is not to replicate the data. You don't want that. You want to consume the data, manage the data, change the data directly where it sits. So it plugs the gap. You can have also an application doesn't have to be a form and a workflow. It can be just a workflow, system to system. When something happens to my system, I want it to be synchronized straight away to the other system without having to do any human interaction. It can be just forms. I have data that sits in that system. I have data that sits in that system. I wish I would have one dashboard that bring me all of those data and make some calculation and render it the way I can make decision faster. You can do that without workflows, just forms. Or you can have data, workflows, and forms all embedded.
Thank you, Amanda. Great presentation. So with that, I think what we want to talk about now is where are we going in 2025 with the upcoming feature releases of K2. What's very cool about this upcoming year, 2025, is that we're actually going to have 2 K2 on-premise releases, and of course a K2 cloud update as well. So early 2025, we'll see K2 5.8.1, bringing a couple of features we'll talk about, and then we'll add K2 5.9 towards the end of the year. And what that does for us is it gives us the ability to roll features out quickly to you under a short-term support, long-term support model. Details are on the website for the exact releases and the support schedules. So what features are we bringing? There's a few strategic areas, core areas. Modern experiences. This is extending what we did in 5.8 and the previous releases, where we want to just build on giving you a more elegant, more beautiful end user experience, as well as a better experience to design with K2. Updated integrations in a couple of areas that we'll talk about on the next slide, and improved governance as well with some of the details. So we're back to another wall of text for our feature updates. I won't go through everything. You can read the slides for yourselves, but there are a few important takeaways. So in some of the basic integration areas, we're not just doing things with our own integrations like Nintex RPA and Nintex DocGen, but we're also upgrading the OpenAPI Swagger version 3.0, and we're also bringing in OData v4 support, as well as bringing K2 Cloud's JSSP providers to the on-premise stack as well, and adding in the TLS 1.3 support. For IPv6, if that's on your mind, we already released that back with K2 5.5 or 5.6. Another big feature that we've got coming is the live instance management and forms comparison tool. Live instance management, the K2 veterans will be familiar with, that allows you to migrate a running workflow to a new version of the workflow. What we're doing special there is we're bringing administrator and developer tooling into the core web UI of K2 to allow you to do that more easily in a supported manner. And then the forms comparison goes hand in hand with other updates that we're making on the Smart Forms UI side. The comparison tool is exactly what it sounds like. It'll let you compare 2 versions of a form to see where the changes are going to be. And then in the modern experiences, we're actually going to be bringing, in conjunction with our partners at AMO, so thank you very much for these contributions, new style profiles into the Nintex gallery. That's our sort of open source community of components that you can use in your own projects. And as well as the new style profiles, we'll be bringing in new Smart Forms controls to help drive that sort of, Web 2, Web 3 experience, give that really modern styling capability. So a lot of that is in 5.8 8.1. That's coming early 2025. Later 2025, we'll be getting the 5.9, where we'll be extending, doubling down on those smartphone controls, but also adding some usability enhancements in the smartphone design experience and in all the design experiences to allow you to search for artifacts. We've all been there when we're building something. We've reused a smart object in a different folder. We just want to get there quickly when we're building. Type in the name, it'll be there, drag and drop. But one of my favorite features, we'll maybe talk more about later, is we're adding the ability to put links and generic files into the smartphone category designer. So here you can put links to ProMap, process manager diagrams, upload documentation, release notes, architectural guidelines for the apps that you've been built, to keep that governance really centralized in the K2 package as you move it from dev, test, prod, having all of those artifacts, not just the core K2 ones, out of the box. I mentioned the service broker for Nintex DocGen just a second ago. So we're extending those document generation capabilities into K2 as well. We're also bringing in the OIDC, so OpenID Connect, SAML2 OAuth capabilities. So that'll widen the authentication options out to things like Azure B2C in the cloud for business to customer scenarios, but also allow you to work with a wider range of on-premise authentication providers for those more secure environments as well. We're bringing K2 Cloud's browser-based package deployment into K2 on-premise as well, and improving the exception handling. And then as we move later out into 2026, we're just improving that smartphone's experience more with design features like copy and paste, undo, redo, and an improved rules designer to streamline that experience of building forms. And then perhaps what I'm really looking forward to, we'll be adding progressive web app capability as well. So if you think about, we already have responsive design, so you can do pages that work on tablet, desktop, and phone. Bringing in the PWA capabilities will give you things like install to the home screen and mobile notifications without having to go through Android or Apple App Store approvals. So a real big win for bringing customers in. And again, that probably goes to some degree hand in hand with the B2C scenarios that the authentication improvements are enabling. So really doubling down on really our government to citizen and business to consumer type scenarios, which we can do today. We have been doing for a long time, but this now just levels up those capabilities. So there's a few more things in terms of AI that are coming out as well. But I think it's probably cool if we maybe talk a little bit about the overall future of K2 and where we're going. Bertrand, Amanda?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ash. Obviously, it's a fully packed future in terms of releases and what we're going to see in the next few months, effectively. I mean, the stuff that we've been, I guess, waiting for, and the community has been waiting for a reasonable amount of time. What's your favorite? What's the one that stands out?
So I think, first of all, you really hit the nail on the head that there's a lot of features in there that people have been waiting for a long time. And I'm really pleased to see. I think this is probably one of the best updates that I've seen for K2 in the last sort of 5 years or more. And I think it really speaks to Nintex's doubling down on our on-premise and K2, both in the cloud and on-premise, and how important that is for us. But as to the specific feature, I think I really like the ability to put links and documents into the categories, because it gives you that self-contained solutioning, and further out the progressive web apps PWA as well. Yeah.
Amanda? Is there one that stands out for you?
Well, it's always modernizing UI, my side, so it's offering more to end users. So yeah, looking forward to see more and more modern controls coming in the next.
And we've definitely got more to come as well, which is super cool. Very exciting times for K2. I think we also have a little bit of a one last thing kind of Steve Jobs moment here as well. While we don't have anything going on with K2 today on the AI side, Nintex overall, across our Nintex Automation Cloud, Process Manager, document generation platforms, We have a lot of AI coming in there as the SaaS solutions and SaaS platform solutions. With K2, I think we've been a little bit more reserved. You know, we have a lot of government, a lot of defense agencies, a lot of highly regulated industries, banking, finance, insurance, these kind of scenarios where we didn't really want to push AI straight onto the people. But we are looking how we can bring that as an optional capability for those who are interested and do need it. And there's a few areas because AI is such a big thing. And the first area is maybe what a lot of people think of when they think of AI in this kind of no-code, low-code environment. Help me build it. I just want to write, build me an app or build me a workflow, and it's done. That's definitely an area that we're looking into, and that's something that LLMs are generally already relatively strong at. I think what a lot of people forget about is the runtime and optimization phases. So as you start to build up data, you know, if we go for that standard classic workflow example of a leave request, right? You've got maybe 5-10 years of history of leave requests. You know from that data what were the influencing points that would lead a manager to approve or decline any kind of request. You know, whether it's a mortgage application or procurement things, whatever it might be. So being able to mine that data to be able to make decisions, or if not fully automated decisions, at least recommendations. You know, any case that looks like this, we'd probably say it's a 95% approval. And then you can do things like, if the AI is above 90% confidence, auto approve it with notification. If it's kind of like 70 to 80%, then make a recommendation to do the approval. And then we've got the optimization capabilities as well. And that could go both for the build side as well as the runtime with things like, you know, we notice that you've got a bulk data loop and it's actually dragging down the workflow performance. Here are some options how you could refactor that design. Or maybe at the runtime and more on the business side, we see that you've got an expected duration of an hour for this particular activity in a workflow. But why don't you think, but that's in reality, you're seeing maybe 4 hours of that. So how can we go and mine a very large quantity of data and pull out those outliers where they can be seen for both manual improvement as well as an AI optimization improvement? So a lot coming on that side as well.
Yes, well, we certainly we look forward to seeing obviously all of the AI kind of coming through. Obviously the whole Nintex stack, but particularly into Nintex Automation K2.
Yeah.
Well,
investments
thanks a lot to both of you today for this great presentation. It's been great being here, you know, amongst the Gitex, and yeah, we'll also see thanks, you know, the global community. That's also following us. So thanks a lot, guys. That's all for us today, and thank you.